Hi, I'm Lisa. Meet our teacher, Nina.
Hi, welcome to our Max English class. A quick reminder before we get started. Make sure you have your Max English journal open in front of you to today's lesson. Let's set a clear aim for today's class. Lisa, what are you thinking?
I had a dream about a fairy last night.
Really? What did she look like?
She looked like a swan. Her wings were made of shiny white feathers.
Interesting. Why don't we read about a different kind of a fairy today? In today's class, we will read a text called The Sand Fairy from the book 5 Children and It by Edith Nesbit. We will find out about the Sand Fairy. Let's write what we will do in class today in the Aim section of our journals.
We will read a story about a sand fairy.
It's action time. Look at the picture carefully. What do you see in the picture? What does it remind you of? Write a few words in the action section of your journal. Now, some of us can share with the class. What did you write, Lisa?
I see a strange animal. It reminds me of a monkey.
Well said, Lisa. Now let's all listen to the text, The Sand Fairy by Edith Nesbit, and follow along with the words and images on the screen. Watch out for who is in the story. The Sand Fairy by Edith Nesbit. The children stood round the hole in a ring, looking at the creature they had found. It was worth looking at. Its eyes were on long horns, like a snail's eyes, and it could move them in and out like telescopes. It had ears like a bat's ears, and its tubby body was shaped like a spider's and covered with thick, soft fur. Its legs and arms were furry too, and it had hands and feet like a monkey's. What on earth is it? Jane said. Shall we take it home? You don't know? It said. Well, I knew the world had changed, but, well, really, do you mean to tell me seriously you don't know a Psammead when you see one? A Psammead? That's Greek to me. So it is to everyone, said the creature sharply. Well, in plain English, then, a sand fairy. Don't you know a sand fairy when you see one? Who is in the story? What did you hear? Let's share with everyone. Lisa, what did you hear?
There are a few children and a sand fairy in the story.
That's right, Lisa. Let's read the poem aloud together. Everyone, let's stand up and get ready to read. Remember to follow along with the words and pay attention to the pictures on the screen. 1, 2, 3, let's go! The Sand Fairy by Edith Nesbit. The children stood round the hole in a ring, looking at the creature they had found. It was worth looking at. Its eyes were on long horns, like a snail's eyes, and it could move them in and out like telescopes. It had ears like a bat's ears, and its tubby body was shaped like a spider's and covered with thick, soft fur. Its legs and arms were furry too, and it had hands and feet like a monkey's. "What on earth is it?" Jane said. "Shall we take it home?" "You don't know?" it said. "Well, I knew the world had changed, but, well, really, do you mean to tell me seriously you don't know a Psammead when you see one?" "A Psammead? That's Greek to me." "So it is to everyone," said the creature sharply. "Well, in plain English, then, a sand fairy. Don't you know a sand fairy when you see one?"
Now, let's read the story silently.
Which words are used to describe the body of the sand fairy? Circle them. Lisa, which words did you circle?
I circled tubby and furry.
Find the meanings of these words in the Words to Learn section of your journal. Now look at the text again and underline any other words you don't know.
There were some words I didn't know. I'm going to write them down. Let's write down all the new words from the text in my word bank. Now, let's look for these words in the Words to Learn after the story.
Let's now read the text silently again and think about it. What did the children find? What was it called? Let's share with everyone. Lisa, what do you think?
The children found a strange creature called a sand fairy or Psammead.
Time for analysis. Let's talk about what we just read. Talk to your friend. What are the different creatures that the sand fairy looks like? Let's now share with the class. Lisa, what do you think?
The sand fairy's hands and feet are like those of a monkey. Its eyes are like the eyes of a snail. Its ears are like the ears of a bat, and its body is like the body of a spider.
Excellent, Lisa. I have another question for you. Well, I knew the world had changed. Why did the Sand Fairy say this? What does the world has changed mean? Talk to your friend. Now, let's share with everyone. Lisa, what do you think?
I think the Sand Fairy has been living in a hole for many years. It didn't know what was happening outside. It was surprised that the children didn't know about sand fairies. The world had changed means that people and what they do or think have become different.
Very well explained, Lisa. Here's another question. Do you think the Sand Fairy had some special power? Give reasons for your answer. Let's now share with the whole class. Lisa, what do you think?
I think the Sand Fairy has some special powers. It is not human, but it can speak like humans do. However, it has been alive for many years, much longer than humans can remain alive. I think this is because the Sand Fairy has magical powers.
Good thinking, Lisa. The Sand Fairy we read about is very different from the fairies we usually read about. It doesn't have wings or carry a wand. We wonder why it lives in the sand. Maybe you should read the book, 5 Children and It, someday, and find out what powers the Psammead has. We will now write about the text in our own words. What would you do if you came across a sand fairy? Write in 3 to 4 sentences. Write in your journal. Your time starts now. Lisa, what have you written?
I will ask the Sand Fairy to tell me about the world of the past. I will also ask the fairy about its special powers.
Good, Lisa. Time for a quick quiz. Shade the bubble for the correct answer in your journal. Question 1. It felt soft to hold the toy in my hands. Which word will best fit the sentence? A. Plump. B. Thorny. C. Furry. D. Tubby. Question 2. But, well, really, do you mean to tell me seriously you don't know a Psammead when you see one? Which of the following does this sentence tell us? A. The Sand Fairy couldn't believe the children do not know a Psammead. B. The Sand Fairy felt angry with the children for being woken up. C. The Sand Fairy wanted to show the children how a Psammead looked. D. The Sand Fairy was upset to know that the children didn't recognize it.
In today's class, we read a story about a sand fairy. See you next time.